Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Hoodlers. Today's Friday, the 9th of May, and it's a perfect day for us to ponder this question. Why your business won't scale until you do. I'll begin with a little story of, like what I discovered inside of scaling myself as a leader. Uh, I'm from Haiti, and one of the things I abhor the most, I've come to be disgusted by it, is charity. And as many of you may know, my country, Haiti, has been the recipient of charity for a long, long time. And so at first, I would be touched, inspired, saddened by pictures of hungry people. And then I came to see that, oh my God, the very good that either myself or others do for my people is the very thing that keeps them exactly where they are. So I became, for myself, disgusted with something I call relief. And then I discovered something magical a couple of days ago. I discovered my own addiction to it. Like I live a life where, as a leader, whether in a company or in my community, like I never saw it. Like I exist to save. There's some people I exist to save them. And then there are others who exist to save me. All the while saying, yeah, this thing called charity, this thing called relief, I'm all against it. So there's this spot in leadership, like as the leader of a company, I have seen for myself that the same thing is there. Like the people who work with me, the people who work for me, until I could get past that there's something fundamentally wrong with them and I exist to save them from that, I couldn't lead them. So there it was a couple of days ago. I'm leading this initiative that's, really close to my heart. And there are some conditions for people to meet to stay in it. And I got to a point where I asked this question that I dreaded to ask. And it's the equivalent of an employee being in your company and you're asking the employee, do you really want to stay here and work here? So the question I asked was, do you want to complete? If you're completing the scores, raise your hand. And a few people raised their hands. And then I said, if you're not completing the scores, raise your hand. And two people raised their hands. And I don't know what got over me, but it was like this. Oh my God, there are two people I'm not able to save. So my attachment to them doing what I wanted them to do, I'm discovering was exactly the thing that was holding them back. So in leading a company, whether you're a founder, whether you're an executive, there is this place in leading where you get to, and I got to that a couple of days ago, that I began to see and suspect that the real bottleneck in people performing was me. So that's this morning's conversation, an invitation to look and see that to scale a business, to scale this initiative I'm dealing with, is requiring me to scale myself emotionally, mentally, and operationally. Growth in this initiative will stall and come to a screeching halt. The team itself will drift, and any decision I make will be to save them while denying who they already are. So that's the context for today's conversation. And the core problem is that while I'm focusing on the result itself, like focusing on revenue, focusing on operations, focusing on the people, I skipped the one thing. I was skipping the one thing that everything else depends on. My own growth and development as a leader, and realizing that being a leader is not this thing that I arrived to. It's this thing that I practice. So I'm inviting you committing to the practice. And there's real cost in my company, in this initiative, and in your company to not actually practice this way and releasing myself from being attached to people being in my company a certain way. So one of the key things that that does happen when I'm attached that way is that the best people leave, or at worst, they stay and they're very, just quietly disengaged. There's a cost to not scaling myself first. What else happens is that the culture itself that I cultivate in the organization stays accidental. There's nothing intentional about it. Everyone is living and having their being inside of my wanting them to be a certain way and not releasing them until they get that way. But guess what? That's not who they are. They're not going to be that way. I'm sticking to what I say I despise most: relieving them, saving them, as opposed to creating an environment where who I am is this crucible that demands them growing. So in that environment, any strategy that I create just stays on the shelf because no one actually gets to interact with it and make it their own. So I've been working really hard. I've been working really hard. It's hard work to actually drag. I'm discovering for myself, it's hard work to drag people to where I want them to go, as opposed to creating an environment where who they are is they're going somewhere and they happen to be in an environment with me that gives them the opportunity to get there. So there needs to be a shift, right? And I'm sharing the shift with you. The shift is that I'm letting go that I have to be the one to save the people who work for me. Like I've been a guy who will stick to somebody being in the company, being in the initiative, even though they don't want to. And the worst thing that could ever happen for me in my leadership is that I lose one of them. So I say I'm committed to a vision, but I'm really committed to the people staying and the people being there. So Gio, good morning.
Good morning.
I wasn't expecting you here, and I'm glad you're here because I'd love to engage you in this question. This question where a business cannot really scale until the leader, herself or himself, chooses to continually scale himself as a leader.
Oh,
Yeah, and
that is so profound.
what I saw for myself is that there's this subtle place where scaling was required for me, and I couldn't see it. And that place was that the people who come into the initiatives I lead, the people who work with me, have to be a certain way. And my job as a leader is to get them to be that way. And if they're not being that way because they don't want to, I stick with it. I can't let go. And me scaling myself as a leader is to realize that and leaving it be. Some people do fit because they're here for something they're up to. They're not here for what I'm up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you create that question, I think of two things. I think of that there is a quote from someone, I don't know, that said the biggest limitation of a business owner is their employees, or the biggest limitation of a CEO is their employees,
Mm-hmm.
and the biggest limitation of employee is the business owner. And I certainly see it for myself in my own company, and I see it in the people we get to work with. And also, I have found that the one of the biggest attachments of a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a manager is creating results, getting the job done, and getting results and making the money. And what I have found that opens up the magic, what do you call it? The genie's box? Yeah, the
Yeah. That you rub the lamp and the genie comes
genie's
out.
lamp. What opens up the genie's lamp is that saying from whoever said it, that people don't care how much you know until they get how much you care for them.
Yeah.
And that transition, where I have found it's really difficult for it was really difficult for me to not solely focus on results, but also focus on the environment I create, is what you were pointing to, where people they feel that they can own the vision, they can own the goals for themselves. And I really get, like, if it was true, like if they wrote this in the Bible, if you're a Christian. I really get that people are willing to do a lot more for a mission, for a crusade, for something they feel they're part of than a paycheck. I really get that. And this aspect of creating an environment that is mission driven, and purpose driven, creating an environment where people care. I'm sorry, that people feel that they're valid, that they're cared for, and creating an environment, to what you're pointing to, where people get that they're only going to be challenged. I don't like creating family environments. I do like create high performing team environments. And I like to challenge, like I have been challenged before in environments of mission, mission driven environments that I know I'm cared about. But in order to stay in this kind of environment, there is a challenge, and the challenge needs to be measured and all of that cool stuff. And that soup I just created, I have found for myself, is really difficult for me as the leader of a company or a consultant that leads teams. It's really difficult to see that I have blind spots that I don't know. The key is to wake up every morning looking for the blind spot, if you will.
Yeah.
Where's my blind spot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, I think there's leadership or influence is not a mountain to arrive. There's no, for me, if someone says I'm a leader, it's like someone saying I'm humble. It's like, okay, I'm really humble, you see. The moment you say it, it's like, then defeats its purpose. You're not humble. I'm
Yeah.
a leader, the moment you say it, it's like, well, then what is that? What is that? Who cares?
Yeah.
It's what's the mission about? you know, and um, And anyway, that's what got triggered in the conversation when you were speaking.
Yeah, and the blind spot you're speaking of, Gio, and mine in the world of I hate charity, and yet I'm finding myself even at work existing as someone who says, "Well, I'm here to save you," right? And so to lead and to stand on your shoulders and to and say leadership is not someplace I've arrived. It's a practice, and sometimes practicing leading is the last thing I want to do. I mean, it's the last thing I wanted to do, to admit to myself that, wow, I have been in this environment, really tolerating a lot in the name of saving them, like saving them from themselves. And what I discovered, you when you said, uh, it's great to create an environment of high performance, that a high performance environment is not a function of the people who work with me becoming the way I want them to be. Rather, it's a function.
That's a big limitation on them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
yeah.
it's not a function of them becoming the way I want them to be. It's rather a function of them being in an environment where they can be fully expressed as who they are while working at something that forwards
The
what.
mission.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's I wish it was a mountain with a top where I could get there and go, yeah, I'm finally a good leader. I'm finally an
Mm.
effective leader.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't think there's reaching. I think it's about, for me, at this point, it's about what, there's two aspects for me. There is, am I having fun? Because I'm gonna die. I mean, what I'm trying to say, this is a finite game, so a finite game. So for me, so if I'm not having fun, I'm doing it wrong. And the other aspect is, am I being someone who is challenging others to find their juice, to find their thing that they are passionate about? And if you're going to be around me, there is a mission-driven environment, and there is certain challenges, and we're having fun, and 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 you are loved and you're cared for. But certainly you're not saved. Around me, you're not safe. You're not safe at all. Around me, you're so not saved at all. However, the environment that I love create for myself and for our team and for companies is where people are not looking to be saved. They're looking to be a contribution to the environment itself. That's what they want. They want to reach their goals. They want their dreams to come true as well. And I want to take people to a place where they see the environment that I created small for them. Like, no, Geo is too small for me. It's like I'm the high school coach and I want to go to the college, or I want to go to pro and Geo is a high school coach. I want to get people to see me as their limitation so that they can move on to the next level. Yeah, I kind of see leadership that way. I kind of see
Yeah.
creating companies that way.
Yeah. And it's essential, like if people are going to see me as their limitation, that I too acknowledge that I am their limitation. Like that's where the growth is for a leader.
That can be,
Yeah.
particularly if it's a mission-driven environment. I can see how the team begins to lead me
Yeah.
because they see I'm a limitation to the mission. And that's a really cool thing, to create a company where the employees or the members are pushing the leader. Like, like you gotta go up. You gotta get out of the way. It's important to get there. And there's a lot of ego around that. I remember the first time I was leading this guy I was coaching this guy to get to his goal, his business goal. And man, when I started working with him, he sucked at everything. You know, he sucked at creating his story. He sucked at creating processes. He sucked at seeing himself powerfully. This guy sucked. But I took him on. And then we started creating the processes and all of it. And he started seeing himself differently. And I was proud of where he was. And he's like mission driven and he's got his little team going on. And then he says, "You're not good enough for me, Gio.
Hmm.
I'm going to the next phase." Oh man, I was so pissed. I was like, not good enough. I mean, you see where you were? And then he got,
I gotcha.
yeah, and then he got somebody else to help him to get to the next level. And at the beginning, it was a huge ego trip for me. I was like really upset. But then I saw, no, that's cool. That's cool. That's where I want to be.
Yeah. Well, Gio, I want to open it up to hear from others. What's percolating for you? What's being triggered by this question? You can't scale your business until you scale you. And scaling you involves looking and seeing where your blind spots may be and acknowledging them and even allowing your team members to point them out to you. Yeah. Who wants to say something?
Well, Sorrel, Gio, and all the Bailey Huddle family, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I think that I can understand why individuals in the leadership position will do so well after having learned how to start working in that mindset and in that mind frame, because that is a difficult thing, I believe, really to do. You look at like the monoliths of companies that started, like the Ford Motor Company and the IBMs and the Microsofts and all these companies like that, right? And, every company has had leaders that had kind of a different leadership style, right? But everybody that was in that organization knew they were working in that organization and what that organization's job was, what that organization's mission was. And sometimes you had some hard-boiled leadership. Sometimes you really had some hard-boiled leadership that was not very, very compromising in terms of people that's coming in and being able to express all of their own ideas to accomplish what they wanted to get accomplished. Because you can see where, if a leader doesn't know how to handle that delicate balance, and they don't know how to handle it until they're starting to work with it, like you say, how are you going to know? You don't just know. You got to start working with it, right? That without individuals coming in and changing the organization. The organization has the potential. This is what I think the communication problems are. When you really start to communicate with an individual and really listen to them from the point of seeking first to understand before trying to be understood and all that other good stuff, there's a danger in that. And the danger in that is that you can be swayed towards somebody else's perspective. And it may not be exactly the vision that you have for your own organization.
Well said, Stan. It's like for me, what I'm discovering, like in the name of charity, in the name of saving people, I'd go save the people while tanking the vision in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a major blind spot in leadership. Like it's like there are good squirrels that should distract me because it's the appropriate thing to do while I'm literally just tanking the vision itself and not realizing that.
Mm-hmm.
And the culture of the organization drifts.
That's right, drifts.
Yeah.
Change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Stan.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, Gio. let's bring this to a wrap.
Sorrel, I saw Tara unmuting herself. I always want to hear what Tara has to say.
I know I wanted to say that too, but it's like, I think Tara wants to stay on mute this morning.
No, she unmuted herself. I
No.
saw her. I saw her unmuting herself.
I never want to stay on mute. I feel like whenever I pop on, I'm like, why am I the one always speaking up? So I tried to like not do that. Yeah. So so many things are coming up for me this morning. This has been really, really an inspiring conversation. And it does lead me to remember something that a manager told me many, many years ago. It was when I first got into a leadership role, and I just believed that everyone at their core was made like I am made. And I think that we all have the tendency to expect from others our own values. And I thought that everyone wanted to work hard and do the right thing. And he said to me, he sat me down and he said, Tara, you cannot change people's wiring. Like basically he was telling me, water the plants that are wanting to grow. Yeah. And some people, you know, we're not their therapist and we can't force them to want to grow. And that has really served me well.
Yeah. And I'm discovering that, Tara.
Yeah. Yeah. But I take it so personally. I can see y'all doing that too. But some people just want to stay in there. I call it the energy of anger. Some people just want to, that's how they run.
Well, there are many ways to practice leading in this context. And the first one is to really acknowledge that, as Gio was pointing to, leadership isn't this place that I arrive. I never get cooked or done as a leader. To be a leader is to continually be expanding and scaling myself such that the environment I am expands, the environment I create expands, and the people in it expand. Standing on your shoulders, Tara, yeah. There are courses designed to help people shift their mindset, but it's not my job to shift their mindset.
They have to want to shift.
Yeah, they have to want to shift. Right? And until it really happens for them, the appropriate thing for me to do is to actually lead. The appropriate thing for you to do is to lead. And as you say, Tara, water the plants that are willing to grow. That's how organizations grow. And that's how we grow as leaders. And I, for one, given my love for people, would sell out my vision to save the people. And I discovered that for myself. Yeah. So thank you for participating in the conversation. Thank you for being here. The Daily Huddle has always been this place that stretches us as leaders. And the conversations we have been the space for others to stretch themselves, whether they're listening here live or subscribing to the YouTube channel and sharing it with others. So wherever you are, this is your home. This is your place. And I thank you for being here. We end today with our 8 tenets. The first one is love. Love yourself, love others, and love even when you don't want to love. Stress less. Eat mostly plant-based. Laugh your head off. And if you can't laugh, find someone to tickle you. Gio would tell you life is not that significant. You only have so many summers left. And then after the last summer, you die. So you might as well have fun.
That really is how it works, isn't it?
That's how it works.
That's depressing as hell.
But it's true. After that last summer, it's over.
Give all you've got. Rest, sleep.
After that last date, it's gone.
Rest and sleep. It's not that significant. Exercise and move your body. And last but not least, check your assumptions. That's your Daily Huddle for today. We're here every day, Monday through Friday. Grateful for our hosts, grateful for you, the listeners. Subscribe to the Daily Huddle on YouTube and invite your friends to do the same. Make it a great weekend.
Take care, family.
Thank you all. Enjoy your mothers this weekend.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.